Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Tiffany, chiropractor and holistic health and life coach. Today I'd like to discuss misinformation. If you were able to take a look at the previous video, you know that we discussed the American Heart Association and specifically them wanting to exclude certain unhealthy items from the SNAP ban list. So essentially they're wanting to continue to allow SNAP participants to be able to purchase candy, sweets, and soda, which we know causes negative effects to a person's health overall and contributes to obesity and disease. So today let's take a deeper look into the misinformation, because we as a country have deemed the American Heart Association and several other associations as trusted sources, right? You go to your doctor for an appointment and they provide you with any type of information in paper form, let's say a pamphlet or a piece of paper. More than likely that information comes from one of these associations, right? And so we are taught to believe that they have our best interests at heart. However, now we are learning that that is not the case, right? We know that there is an agenda and they are wanting to continue to keep the common public sick because it fattens their pockets and it's beneficial because they accept donations, right, from the pharmaceutical companies and the corporations, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and all of the other corporations that produce these unhealthy products. So when you now receive a piece of information from your medical doctor or your PCP who's not a health care or holistic health practitioner, you have to be a little leery, right? And you have to first ask yourself where this doctor is operating from. Are they a person who comes in, asks you 2 or 3 questions, and tells you that they are going to give you a couple of sample prescriptions and to come back in 2 or 3 weeks? Or are they a person who's taking the time to do a deeper dive and look at what you're telling them and work to get to the root of the problem? Because what we are typically noticing is that if you go to the doctor, right, you have to wait an extended period of time to be seen. But if you're late, then of course they're going to tell you that you have to reschedule, or they'll even cancel your appointment, and then you have to pay a fee as well. Once you are in the room and you're waiting for the doctor, the nurse will come and ask you a couple of questions, and then the doctor will come in and follow up and say, hey, we're going to try these 2 or 3 different things based on this because I believe that you have this issue. And if these drugs don't work for you, come back in a few weeks and we'll take another look, right? So it's very superficial. They aren't spending a lot of time with you. And it seems like you are just in and out, and they've given you something to kind of put a band-aid on the problem. So if you are going to a doctor and that has been your experience, I'm not necessarily sure that you should trust them and the sources of information that they are providing to you. Because keep in mind that for every prescription they write, they receive a kickback, right? So they provide you with these samples to see if it works, and then if it does, you come back in and they write you a prescription and they send you on your way. And now they've just received a kickback from that prescription that they've written. So any type of information that they provide you, you have to be very leery and take it with a grain of salt. On the other hand, if you are a person who's focusing on holistic health and wanting to achieve optimal health, and you are maybe seeing a naturopath or any type of holistic health practitioner or chiropractor, they are simply taking the time to get to the root of the problem. They want to know what's causing you to have these symptoms, right? And that is what all doctors are supposed to do. But unfortunately, in this day and time, every doctor, right, is not operating from the proper place. Let's just say, for lack of better terms, excuse me. So when you find a practitioner who wants to get to the root of the problem, they're discussing diet, exercise, and your lifestyle with you, and they're providing you with resources and information, you probably can trust that provider as a source because they are concerned about the big picture and your health overall. They don't just want to give you a pill and send you on your way. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't recommend dietary changes, certain supplements, or exercise routines, right? But remember, supplements come from the earth, vitamins come from the earth, herbs come from the earth. So they were all created by God. And before we knew of pharmaceuticals or any other type of alternatives, most people used their food as a form of medicine. So a lot of the healing came strictly from consumption of what they were eating and not eating. And although our food isn't as pure as it was back then, we have the supplements and the herbs to kind of help us alleviate that issue with the unhealthy food or the additives that are added to the food. So if you are seeing a holistic practitioner and they're wanting to get to the root and they're providing you with information, they're also, let's just say, wanting to work with you on wanting to work on your health overall, focusing on diet, exercise, and wanting to help you change for the better, then yes, you do want to trust the information and the resources that they're giving you, and know that they are probably the best person for you to ask all of your healthcare questions to. Now, that doesn't mean that all medical doctors, nurse practitioners, and osteopaths are bad by any means, because some of them do try to take a more holistic approach. However, the truth of the matter is this is something that they're not educated on in medical school, so they can't tell you about something that they don't necessarily have any knowledge of. They may have decided to take continuing education after they've graduated, and in taking those classes, they may have learned some things. But with the traditional medical education, nutrition and health and wellness isn't something that they're learning and focusing on, which is why they aren't pushing it, so to speak. So the doctors that are pushing it have had continued education, and they probably work with holistic practitioners and holistic doctors as well. They may also be a patient of a holistic doctor, so they are obtaining knowledge in that way as well. And in that case, yes, you do want to trust them and ask questions. But if somebody is just giving you a pill and pushing you out the door and not really taking the time to learn about you, your body, and what ails you, and they're not trying to figure out what can be done to help you get better, and they're just pushing pills, don't trust that provider as a source, okay? And keep that in mind. Also, pray before you go into your appointments. Pray before you make an appointment. Pray if your doctor gives you a referral for a certain doctor, and if that doctor or that provider does not sit right with your spirit, then you have to take the initiative to find someone who does. A lot of times we just trust man and we remove God, and we're doing things backwards, right? We are supposed to trust God first. He'll lead you to the correct practitioner based on your health and well-being. He'll tell you who to stay away from, but we oftentimes don't consult with God first. He becomes an afterthought. So it's after you've had a botched procedure, or after you're starting to experience negative side effects of the medication, right? When a lot of these things can be prevented if we just talk to God and find the doctor who works best and is a best fit for us. And this also goes for your family and your children as well. Not all pediatricians have your best interests at heart. I know that that's hard to hear, but it is the truth, right? If they're pushing certain things that you don't agree with, then you have to, again, take a stance, take the initiative, and find someone who practices and will treat your children based on your beliefs and what you feel is best. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I always include the link to my website, and there you can send me an email. We are in this together, and until we prioritize our health and wellness and what we're taking in, we're going to continue to have these problems, right? So we have to stand up, and we have to be willing to say no. Get a second opinion, get a third opinion. If you have a healthcare professional in your family, talk with them if they are operating from the right place. If they aren't, then you probably don't want to do so. But you have a part to play in this, and your health